So now that we're in Zbrush, we're going to import our model. So just go to Z plugin and we'll select FBX export import as I've exported our 3ds Max as in FBX. We'll press the import button and then we'll go as to wherever you've saved your file. We've got this one, I've named it as Bridge Original. Okay, so now we've got the model in. We'll select it up here from the subtool. We'll just drag it in here. Make sure we, we sort of. God, which one is the? I don't know which one is the bottom. I'm guessing this one. Okay. So now we've got it in there, and just press selected T to go into edit mode, and that's our model basically. Oh, sorry. Right, okay, so we've got our model in. If we go to subtool, we've got two subtools in here. One of them being the platform, and the other one being the beams. I haven't renamed them or anything. It doesn't really matter at the minute. We'll rename them later anyway. Right, okay. So first things first. I think we'll just get the let's just get the beams out of the way. So what we're going to do is we'll deactivate the cylinder, so we don't, the platform, so we don't see it at all, and we just have our beams across. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to start painting some details on them, but they're incredibly low poly at the minute. So we'll go into geometry on the right side. We'll select Dynamesh. And then Dynamesh it, let's just put resolution about 1000. That's overkill. Let's do about 500 and Dynamesh it. And now you can see how it's basically got all these stitched together. I don't like the resolution though, so I'm gonna go back and go to 1000 like I originally intended. Just take the blur down and press Dynamesh again. It's gonna take a bit, but yeah, we get a better result now, cleaner result basically, and yeah, we have a lot of polygons in here, right? It's a lot of polygons. So we Dynameshed it. We can now deactivate Dynamesh, and we can divide our mesh, for more details, to get more details in. Okay, so the way we're going to paint this in is we're going to use texture. We're going to use a texture. So what we do up here where you see the texture tab, you go up and you sort of you make sure that we've got a texture set up. So we're not going to use that. We're actually going to import another one. So from this side here, we'll just press the import button. And I've got this one here, Wood Beam. You can get this off Zbrush's site, Pixologic site. You can download them from the Alphas website. And so I've loaded that in. That's the texture that I want to use. Now, basically, we need to activate the spotlight. So in texture, in here, we've got a option. We've got this option where it says turn the spotlight on and off, and I had to press first to add the spotlight, and now we've got the spotlight on. So that's the spotlight. So if you press Z, it will bring the control panel for the spotlight. If you press Shift Z, it will make the entire spotlight disappear basically. So what I want to do is I want to put the mesh in such a way that it's it's going to be something like that, and then I'm going to press Shift Z to bring this in. I'm going to press Z to bring the control panel in. Let's just move the control panel. If you press in the center of the control panel, you can move it around. Let's just attach it to the middle of the texture. Okay, so we have this option here called scale. Well, if you turn this around, you can basically get the scale of this a lot lower. So we'll put the scale at around our mesh, our size of the mesh. Around there, we can then go to the opacity of it, if I can. Okay, and we'll just decrease the opacity so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay, one thing that we can also do is we can stretch this, so we can do that if we want to, or we can just move it across basically, move this whole thing across after we painted one area after another. One thing before we start painting, we need to activate the morph target, because I don't want to overlap a lot of these all these strokes. So I'm gonna go to what was it now? Morph target, and then store and morph target. Now what this means is, well, you'll see the effect, but basically it means that the brushes that intersect, the geometry that I've added, it will not intersect with the other one. It's just going to remain flat on one level. So we'll select the brush, we'll go to layer, so press L on the keyboard and then A, or select layer. We'll make sure we've got a texture on anyway. We'll make sure the brush alpha is something quite hard, I would say, so that should work. I'll make sure it's on freehand. Okay, let's just test it out. Let's just see how it's so let's see how it all goes. You have to first make sure you deactivate the options for the spotlight, and now we can actually sort of texture it in. Let's just have a look what that looks like. So I'll just deactivate it. That's what it looks like at the minute. So if we go around, it's added some details on the other, but there's not any details on that side. So I think this is pretty much acceptable, actually. So let's just activate the spotlight again. Oh, sorry, I've moved the spotlight. Okay. So I think you need to have the spotlight active in order to move it. So again, we'll paint. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Right, come on, let's not move it, because if we move it, we'll change our resolution. Okay, sorry about that. Just got to make sure when you press the button you're on a mesh, otherwise it won't paint. Right, so we're doing that. We're adding the details in again. Let's just deactivate it again. Looks a bit different. It's okay. We're doing concepting here. We're not trying to make some, as I said, we're not trying to make some amazing work of art, right? We're just doing concepting. Actually, if I'm really, we could potentially be going, increasing the size of this a bit. It's going to help us out with getting a bit more variation in here. So again, we're just going to add this in, paint this in very quickly. Let's deactivate it again. That's what it looks like. I'm not really very, I don't really like these sort of elements over here, but there you have it. I'm just using the mouse at the minute, so I'm just coming with the mouse, and this obviously has a different sort of feel than what a pen does. Okay, I'm just gonna move it across again and just shrink it a bit, maybe go from, have something like that. I'll deactivate it, and then I'll go into paint again. This has added details on both the outside and the inside. So once we deactivate this, let's just have a look. Yeah, that's about right. It should fit our purposes, basically. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go on the other side, and we'll go on the other side, and we will do this again. Let's just make it a bit bigger. Okay, deactivate, and now, God, ZBrush is so twitchy when it comes to these settings in the viewport. Okay, so we've added all these details in. Okay, let's just move this across like that, and let's just add some more details in there. Okay, right, let's just smooth it out a bit. Smooth it out a bit, paint it again, smooth it, paint in. Can even go to clay tubes, for example, and obviously this destroys a bit the mesh, so we're not actually going to do that because I've not set it up for that. Okay, right, let's have a look at what we've got. So I'm just going to deactivate that. Yeah, this looks about right. Yeah, we should be well okay to use this now. So what's the report? 2.1 million polygons. That's too high. definitely. So we'll have to go into the Z plugin and basically go into decimate. So you go into Z plugin, you select decimation master, and then you've got some options in here. You first have to pre-process it, and then select the target of how much you want to decimate it by, and then press decimate current. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to skip this, as it's going to take a bit, and then I'll just resume the video after decimation is over. But I am probably going to do it step by step, so I'm going to do it probably in 3 steps, decimate in 3 steps, and just come back to you guys if I've got something to show you during the decimation process. If not, we're just going to skip straight to the end as to exporting the model. Okay, so we've gone from 2 point something million polygons on this now to 21,000, which is okay for our high poly, I would say. I mean, the quality is still pretty much there, only just small differences. We don't want to do anything else to this model at this time. We're going to export it as a high poly model alongside the platform once the platform is also done. So we'll just switch to the platform now. And it's at 2.5 million polygons, which is definitely way too high. What we want to do first, we want to we want to Dynamesh it basically. So just then Dynamesh, I want to keep a very good resolution on this, no blur or anything like that. I've just pressed the Dynamesh button now, and let's see the results. Okay, yeah, it's very good. So let's just Control Z that, because I don't like the sort of result that we got. Let's just go to let's go to 2000. Again, no blur, Dynamesh, and let's see what happens. You're just gonna have to play with these settings until you get the right amount. I mean, going from 2.5 million polygons to 700,000, it's not ideal. So okay, it's finished, I guess. We're at 3.4 million polygons. Yeah, bad. Could potentially keep it at this level again because the merger of textures, of the model. This is why it happens, and we haven't toyed with any other options in here in order to preserve as much of the geometry as possible. So okay, yeah, that's acceptable. So we're at 3 million polygons. Now we're going to deactivate Dynamesh, and we want to start decimating the mesh. We'll just press the pre-process current, which is going to take a bit because of the amount of polygons. Now, one very important thing to say is, for Substance Painter, it does matter how many polygons you have in your high poly. If it's way too high, it will take a long time to calculate the mesh maps. If you got that lower, then it's going to be a lot better to work with it. So it's now finished. Computing, basically calculating it. So it just says here, computing, please wait. Once that finishes, it will write the disk, and then you can do the decimation process. We'll probably do about 10%. Decrease the number of polygons by 90% basically, and just keep 10% of them. And quality wise, we're probably not going to lose a lot in this process. Very important. This is a very important step, basically, as I've said. You won't be able to work with 3 million polygons. So decimate. If we decimate 20%, we're still going to be left with oh wow, quite a lot of polygons in there. Right. So let's just go to 10. Still going to be 600. Let's go to 5%, and let's press decimate current, and now we're at 150,000 polygons. Nothing really has changed on the mesh, which is, we can probably do another pre-process current. It will work its magic again, and now we can do another decimation, but we won't, we can't do 5% again because it's going to be too low. So we'll probably be looking at 20%. Yeah, let's try it 20%. Yeah, we're at 30,000 now, and we still have the quality. Okay, we'll leave it as that. So these are our 2 high polys. So we'll go into the subtool. Now, bear in mind that the reason why I'm not really fussed about losing some of this detail in here is because because I am looking at, oh sorry, this look a bit, okay, let's just leave it at 150. Fussed about losing these details because the texture that we're going to apply is going to cover most of this anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge these together. So merge down, press OK. So now this has become one unified mesh, well, one mesh basically. And we'll go to Z plugin again, decimation master. We'll go to FBX export and import, and press export. We'll write in here bridge high, and now that has been well, it's been exported now. Okay, next step we want to do, let's split these. I just want to, okay, so now split them again. I want to work on individually, so I'm just gonna make sure that they're both hidden. Okay, so I've got the cylinder selected. What we want to do now is we'll go to Z plugin, again to decimation master, pre-process current, which should only take a bit. Okay, and now decimate. So we'll decimate by 95%. Decimate current and 7,000 points. Yeah, it should be okay. Okay, now we'll go to these beams, same thing, pre-process current, and then decimation master, right, 95%. Let's have a look. Yep, yeah, it should be, no, it's not gonna be okay because we lost our hard edges here. So let's just increase that to maybe 8%. Let's have a look. No, still not okay. We'll go to 10%. And let's see. No, we're still losing. We're basically losing the major parts of our geometry, which is not something that I want. No, still doing it. Oh, this is not good. Okay. Really? Still doing it? Unreal, honestly. Okay. 40%. Okay, 40% almost kept the entire geometry. Okay. So we'll just use that. Again, you can do this very quickly. All this entire process that I've done here is very quickly. You can do it very quickly. Right, so we're just gonna see both our models again. Let's merge them together one more time. And now we're going to export them as we're going to export this one as the low poly model. Yeah, not very low poly, I know, but again, this is just for our intended purposes. Okay, file exported. We'll now move into 3ds Max. Let's just do a file, new all, don't save. Okay, so now we're importing our bridge low. Okay, this is in 2 elements, so we'll go to element mode. Sorry, this is an entire. We're just gonna go to element mode, and we've got. Sorry, before we do anything, let's just make sure we've got an editable poly on top. So we've got an editable poly. Go to element mode, select these 2 elements and detach them. And we'll detach this as beam low. Yeah. And then this one is, we're going to rename it to platform low. Okay, and I'm going to, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to delete it. Okay, so we've got our 2 elements here. Now, one other thing that we could potentially be doing, and I don't know how well this is going to work, but probably not very well, is to try and do an auto smooth. Let's have a look at it before and after. I can't even. Now it should come out with an auto smooth anyway on its own. Right, okay. So It's time to now import the high poly. So import bridge high, press OK. Okay, it's the same thing, it's merged, so we'll add an editable poly on top. Go to, go to element mode, same thing, select both of these elements, detach as beam high. Okay, give it a bit of a give it a minute to basically work itself out. Now rename to to platform high. Okay, now we select both the beam and the platform high, and we will export them. Export selected. I will select, let's just say bridge 1 high. And we're done with the high poly model. What I do want is I want the low poly model to be on basically on 2 different texture sets. So I'm going to select the beam low. I'm going to go to press M for materials. I'm going to rename this as beam, whatever. Again, I'm not doing anything professional here. I don't need to trying to move very quickly through it. So I've just change the colors. Rename the beam and then attach, press this button to give the material to this mesh. Now I'm going to select the platform low. I'm going to get out of element mode, and then I'll select another material and call this platform. I don't know, give it another color just so you can see it. Okay, and add it. Okay, and that's it. That's for the texture sets. Now file, export selected, we'll do it as a bridge 1 low. Yeah, it's very important to keep the underline low, underline high for baking in Substance Painter. So now we're going to move into Substance Painter. So I've just imported our model into Substance Painter, and I've generated the normal, ambient and curvature map for both of these meshes, and this is basically the UV for the beams, which looks like an abstract shape, and this is the platform, which looks like if we would have removed the pelt of a bear. That's how this would look, which is right. Okay, let's go into texturing. So the beams. Yeah, let's do the platform first. So on the platform, I don't want to do anything too out of the out of the ordinary because we have such low texture resolution, because of how the mesh is. As I've said, it won't be any good for proper texturing with some intricate designs or materials, because it just simply will not work. So what we're going to do is let's add some, I'll add this palm tree texture, which I've got from Substance Share. You guys can find in there if you want it. So I've just added this one. I'm going to take the scale of the UV to 1. I'm going to rotate it a bit to make sure we don't get any sort of visible seams across. Yeah, I think that should be about right. Okay, now at this minute we can't really see our normal map anymore. It's around there. It wasn't good to begin with either. As you can see, this one on the beams doesn't look great either. So I've added that texture on. Now I'm going to cover it up with a moss. I'm going to add a moss on top. The moss will pretty much occupy the entire space of this as it loads in, as you can see. So I want some of that texture from underneath to show up. So we're going to add a mask with height combination on top. Then I'm also going to add on this mask, I'm going to add a generator. Yeah, I'm going to add a generator. And the generator I'm going to set to edges, metal edge wear. Okay, now our height map starts to show up, which is a good thing. Our normal map starts to show up a bit. Okay, so in compare mask we've got that. Let's just add some levels to the moss. and we'll go to height, and we'll just play with the slider a little bit. Yeah, think about there, you know, we get some of that palm out, and we get, yeah, that's about right. Okay, now let's go on to the beams and add some texture in there as well. We'll do the same thing. Let's add some palm tree on top of it. You see, this is very low resolution. I mean, this is 4K here, and it's displaying at 4K as well. And because of how the UV is, we're just simply not getting anything out of this, right? And trust me, no matter what you would do to this UV, it won't, the automatic UV won't do a better job. I mean, we will do a better job, but it won't do a fantastical job, is what I'm trying to say. Same thing, let's add some moss on top of that as well. We might add some a texture in between this, you know, a sandwich sort of. Okay, add a height map with add a same thing, you know, we'll do the same thing. Compare mask, let's add some levels. We'll go to height again, and let's just try and move this slider a bit. No, I think I'm gonna go this, you know, add a bit more moss. Okay, let's just open the palm tree. Let's have a look at if we can do anything in here. I mean, we've got quite a bit of options, but yeah, I think we can probably add a texture in between. And I think I've had a, I must have had a wood roof. So I'm going to add that in between. The wood roof obviously is going to now sort of go on top of the palm tree, which is not ideal because it's going to cover the palm tree entirely. Okay, so we'll do the wood roof. We're going to go for the darker tone. Okay, it's a bit too dark. Let's go a bit lighter. Now let's add a black mask, and let's add a generator. And on the generator, let's do something like dripping dust and all that, right? Now this moss is just too much, so we're just gonna have to tone it down a bit. Okay, the dripping rust, let's just try and spread it out a bit more. Add a bit more variation in there. Something like that. Drip intensity, spready smoothness, just to create a smooth between these textures. Yeah, something like that. Again, it's not ideal, and the moss itself I'm not particularly fond of, because the color is a bit too bright for these, so there would definitely need to be the color need to be a bit changed, which I could add some filters in, or I could play with the levels of it. You know, if I go to base color here, I should be able to now let's just leave the saturation on. Should be able to sort of, yeah, somewhere around there. See, make it a bit more okay. Yeah, something like that. So if we activate shadows, let's just have a look with shadows on top. I mean, when you got shadows on, it's actually a lot better than what it is. Again, as I said, if you want to do a concept and basically just drop this in somewhere, you know, make like a bridge on top of some ruins, or on top of some I don't know, trees or whatever, and they're pretty far away, and it's a static sort of you know, you're doing like a concept art or something like that, and this can definitely help. But yeah, this is basically what sort of result I'm getting. Could I have done better with Zbrush, you know, with Zbrush and just getting a better decimation and just a better mesh overall? definitely. Again, I just kind of sped through it without doing a prior sort of run through it. You could definitely get a better result at this, but the UV is what's really killing it, because even with this broken, let's call it a broken mesh, because it doesn't follow a proper logic. It's not made by hand. It's, it's a computer, an algorithm trying to sort through it. So if you do that by hand, you're gonna get a better result. But the UV is what's really killing it, because the UV is just not bringing in the 4K resolution that we needed to show more detail in this. So this is what I was saying earlier. This is what I'm saying. What I was saying earlier, that you need to sort of toy with the options in order to get the best possible result. You will not get it from the first go, but once you follow this flow and you just add your own bit to it, and you just change it a bit to suit your needs depending on what project you're working on. If you, as I said, just for concepting, then this can be a process of around 30-40 minutes of getting a mesh out. Generally environmental meshes, it's quite easy to do. Again, if polygons aren't an issue, then this is definitely one way to go. Basically, with a automatic UVs. In a future video, I'm going to use automatic UVs from Substance Painter to basically do a proper, a more simplified hard edges sort of mesh, hard surfaces, and I'll see how it does in that environment. But anyway, just go back to the comparison at the beginning and see sort of the differences between a mesh made, retopologized by hand and UVs set up by hand, and see the difference between that and this one. And you guys let me know what you think. Is this something that might be useful to you? Do you want to see me further developing this sort of workflow and just getting a better result? You guys, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.